Welcome back. Good to see you again. I'm Brian Kenny. Al Leiter and Hannah Kaiser on the panel. Ex-Angels manager Phil Nevin will join us, former All-Star and College Player of the Year back in the day. We've got our baseball he plays, and what is the proper use of the DH slot? 50 years later, still a question. But first, an interesting night in baseball. Now, I know it's all small sample size theater at this point, but some early indications revealing themselves in the opening week. Let's do a little digging in. Gotta start with this. No-hitters are good, clean fun, as long as you don't get too crazy. In the old days, there'd be headlines, history is made, and I think we have more of a proper appreciation of what is still a rare event. Complete games and shutouts, rare enough these days. But here's Ronel Blanco, 30 years old last night, has all of 58 major league innings under his belt. He's got an ERA up near 5 for his career, but he was sharp last night, facing a real offense, too, in Toronto, allowing just 2 walks. Always more memorable, too, when you have a signature defensive play, and this one came in the ninth. Jose Abreu, desperate to complete that play, and he did. Great play. Only 4 no-hitters last year, by the way. There were 9 in 2021. That's the record. Only 6 of the last 12 no-hitters has been an individual no-hitter. The less memorable combined no-hitter is now more prevalent. There was another very good pitching performance yesterday, kind of overshadowed by the no-hitter by Blanco, just as his contract was overshadowed by Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Yamamoto got 12 years, $325 million. Shota Imanaga got a more modest 4 years, $53 million. It's real money, but he's more affordable. But the Cubs believed in Imanaga. He's 30 years old, had a solid career in Japan. Yesterday, Cubs home opener, he was dealing. 6 shutout innings, 9 strikeouts, no walks. It was against the Rockies, I know, but that's a dominant debut. He doesn't have the overwhelming stuff that Yamamoto has, but it was Imanaga who led Japanese baseball in strikeouts last year. Speaking of pitching, the Red Sox staff is off to a very good start. They lead the majors with a 1.42 ERA. Their starters have 37 strikeouts and 1 walk. It's early, I know, but this was supposed to be the weak point of the team. And yes, they beat Oakland last night, but they split 4 with the Mariners to open up, and the Mariners are a legit club. Be aware, the Red Sox have a new chief baseball officer, Craig Breslow, former pitcher, smart guy, analytic. They brought over pitching coach Andrew Bailey from the Giants. He did big things there with that staff under Gabe Kapler. They also have a new director of pitching, 33-year-old Justin Willard. So, these are people with a plan. They are heavy on the breaking stuff. They're the second highest in baseball in throwing pitches other than a fastball. Only the Guardians have a higher non-fastball usage. But to hone in on that further, just get in on the actual, isolate that number. They really avoid throwing the 4-seam fastball. Look at these percentages. That is the fastball that's thrown the hardest. 4-seamer, you grab it by 4 seams. It's relatively straight. It's for maximum velocity. The Red Sox are dead last in 4-seam fastball usage. They throw it just 11% of the time. Now, is this the way to pitch? Maybe. It's a quick blip. All we know is that early on, the Red Sox are having success, seemingly, with some applied tactics. I want to know what you think on X at MLB Now. You can talk about that. Or I can ask you, do we still love no-hitters? Al Leiter is here, so you know his take. But let us know how you feel at MLB Now. Al Leiter, Hannah Kaiser. Al, go ahead. Do we still love no-hitters?
Of course you do. I don't know about combined no-hitters. I know we have to, appreciate a feat, but to have, 5 guys, 6 guys, and I know that the Astros have done that at least once before. I know when Billy Wagner was even there.
Multiple
times.
Yeah, combined no-hitters, yeah.
No, it's a feat. Of course it is, right? I mean, you're a starting pitcher, especially with your brethren loving to do openers and
get him out. Get him out as soon as
Get him
possible,
out, right? This is the sentiment. I know you don't really mean that because you don't win a championship without front end guys.
I kind of mean it, but I get it. I think it was distorted in the old days. Like, again, Hannah wouldn't know. But in the old days, it was just like, and a guy could I remember I think it was Adam Wainwright actually had a start like 10 years ago, and he had like 15 strikeouts, no walks, and he gave up 1 hit. And then like Homer Bailey threw a no-hitter. It was Homer Bailey makes history. I'm like, come on, that was a better performance.
True, although to the point about the combined no-hitters, I agree. Combined no-hitters are kind of just like, well, that's part of the game now that pitching is so good and batting averages are so low. Then in some ways the rise of the combined no-hitter re-emphasizes how impressive the solo no-hitter is.
True.
Because it's tough to be allowed to stay in the game, even if you have a no-hitter going. In some ways, to me, that makes the one pitcher, Blanco had 105 pitches or something. That is truly impressive to get through 9 innings in any fashion with 105 pitches is impressive. To get through without giving up
I'm just
a hit is
listening
even
to
more
you.
impressive. Well, you're thrilled. You look thrilled.
Sorry to interrupt, but there was a no-hitter in the World Series. Do we remember it?
It was a combined no-hitter.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, right. I know.
yeah,
Someone
combined-
mentioned to me in the last
That's what
World
I'm
Series.
saying. But like, right,
No idea.
the fact that teams are willing to take out a guy who has a no-hitter going, put in a reliever, put in another reliever, put in another reliever, that makes what Ronel Blanco did to me even more impressive.
Sure.
Especially he had never gone deeper than the 6th or something.
Right.
He had never.
Well,
thrown
it
more
takes
than
a
90
confluence of
pitches.
forces, though, where like it's his age. Like if you're managing him, a lot of times if it's a prize prospect or something, you go to get him out. But he's 30. He just got there. You got to give him a shot. Plus, his pitch count was reasonable,
Right.
even going in there.
We don't care about the 30-year-old pitchers.
Yeah, it's not
but
you don't
that
care.
23-year-old.
You have a tendency to do I want to let this guy have his shot at attaining this achievement? And you got that sense last night that that's what you wanted.
He had, 91 pitches going into the 9th?
Yeah.
Ended up with 104?
Yeah, it was reasonable.
Come on. Yeah.
That's beyond reasonable. That's what we let guys throw that.
By the way,
into the
he wanted to be Mauricio Dubon there. Like that was a slow roller. He had time to think about it.
Yeah, don't mess
he
it
was
up.
so there was so much. He barely celebrated in the dog pile after because he was just like, whew, I'm glad I did that. And Dubon made 2 good plays. He's on our baseball plays all the time. He made 2 good plays. Here's the other one that was like a deflection. And this is also what was this the 8th inning? The 8th inning.
Yeah.
So he had just come into the game defensive purposes. Imagine being this as a deflection, but he had time. It was Kirk running. He had time. That's not an easy play.
It is. And to bring in 4 to preserve the no-hitter, right? I assume he.
Yes, well, and
if you're-
credit to the Astros offense for putting up, 10 runs, so that way they could afford to do that, bring in a defensive replacement. I think, even though this does lump in a little bit, the combined no-hitter, we got to talk a little bit about just what the Astros are able to do. They are responsible for 4 of the last 7 no-hitters, all 4 thrown by Latin guys. Framber Valdez, Christian Javier, who had started 2 of them, and now Blanco started the franchise's last 4 no-hitters. And these are all guys, so this is the age that they were signed at. You never see guys out of Latin America signed at 20, 21, 22.
Yeah.
I think the way that everyone now scouts these Latin countries, everyone has academies in the DR, whatever it is, to be able to find still an edge in that market, whether that's guys who were overlooked when they were teenagers, whether that's guys who've changed positions, which I think was the case with Blanco and now are newer to pitching. But just it's a credit to their scouting and it's a credit to their player development that they're able to find, this is incredible. They have a starting rotation worth of guys who no other teams were even interested in.
Right, they got in early. I think for the previous administration, too. I want to point out, Al Leiter had a no-hitter. You're so humble you didn't bring it up. Was that let me guess, 129 pitches? What was it?
No, surprisingly, it was not. I think it was,
103. They're telling me in my ear now.
103.
Wow, efficient.
Can you believe
How many
that?
walks did you have?
I'm going to say 2.
That's right. Wow.
And I hit Ellis Burks. And Larry Rothschild in the first inning came in, and he just chewed me out. I think I hit a guy, I walked a guy, and he goes, "What are you doing?" Beep, beep, beep. I'm like, Larry, take it easy, take it easy. But we had a big lead, so it was also similar.
Right.
Like, it wasn't a matter of, oh, boy, you're going to lose a no-hitter, maybe you lose the game. We won 11.
Did you think about that? Did the big lead make it easier?
No.
to
So I'm crazy a little bit. So, like, my whole thing is this pitch, execute, and focus, blinders on. So when the player's locked in this case a pitcher, you don't think about the other factors, which would be scoreboard, score, even count. It's
Good Expos team, too. Yeah, it was
Colorado.
Rockies?
Yeah.
Oh, it was Rockies.
Yeah, Colorado Rockies.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, they were.
By the way, when you said you were crazy, you noticed that we didn't correct you. Oh no, Al, don't say that. Don't get.
Don't be so hard on you.
I know you might be a little sensitive to this too, because I know. Look, you can tell you have an inner computer that's working, but there's a whole baseball ops that is out there working on stuff. What do you think of what the Red Sox are doing with the lowest force? And to explain, a four-seam fastball is your hard fastball.
Yeah.
They throw it 11% of the time. It's the lowest by far. What do you make of that?
So a few things. Personnel. I mean, I know that a lot was said about the amount of fastballs that they threw up in Seattle. Well, let's extrapolate who they're facing, who the batter is, what's your staff? Is it a sinker slider staff? Do they rely on movement? Do I have a rotation that guys that throw 95 to 100? No. So there becomes this pitch repertoire of having to be effective based on your strengths. And boy, where's it ever? I mean, change-up sliders, curveballs all weekend up in Seattle. Turns out a lot of free swings, especially right on right. Brian Bayo would have been the only one that I would think with the plus velocity. I know Pavetta is good, and you got Hoke, but generally speaking, I wanted to show this because it's interesting. And Hannah, you alluded to, pitchers are better and it's harder to hit. Well, I'm gonna go as long as I can that when the approach changes and you have hitting coaches that tell you to give your A swing. This right here, you see right here, from 2008, which is the farthest back we go with StatCast, right on up to 23. So the average velocity, we had more fastballs thrown slower, and we have guys. This is only starting pitchers, folks, and I didn't include two-seamers. I didn't include cutters. So this is two-seamers and four-seamers. That's significant. Somebody at home is like, oh, it's only 2.5 miles an hour. No, folks, that's hundreds of.
So why are they throwing it fewer times? If the velo has now climbed to 94, why is it being thrown less than half the time?
So, fair. Hitters can hit a speeding bullet in some cases if they know it's coming. And I think the scatter reports, BK, and I've seen enough of them, that it's very specific to Brian Kenny. On hitter counts, 202 on 3-1 counts. He's batting 079 on off speed. It gets really that specific. Or even Hannah on 2-0 counts, right on right, doesn't hit a curveball. Depth, velocity, take a little off. She doesn't hit it. She's batting 028. So you get this information.
What was your percentage back in the day? Because back then it was like command your fastball.
Command your
primary
fastball.
thing. What was your percentage? Probably 70%?
Well, I think when I first got called up, it was you pitched off your fastball.
Yeah.
And I threw hard. I was a guy that threw 95 or better.
Which was fast in the day. It's like 95, that's it. 95 was real smoke back in the day. Go ahead.
Yes, you pitch off your fastball, and I still believe that. And I love Andrew Bailey. I mean,
what do you tell your son?
Pitch off your fastball. Command your fastball.
Does he? He's in the Texas Rangers.
He's getting better. He's getting better. He's getting better.
No, but I'm saying, I wonder what they're telling him. Are they telling him, hey, lay off your fastball, just throw all this?
No, the opposite.
Come back with it. Really?
Oh,
so
yeah.
He's working off his fastball.
Yeah,
still.
yeah.
Okay.
Then
how hard does your son throw?
He was up to 98 on Saturday.
So that's real smoke. Right.
Yeah, he's got a good arm.
Yeah.
But on metrics, and you'd appreciate this, it's probably a whole segment if you let me, but it's not just velocity, it's the metrics within that. When you have the illusion of a four-seam fastball that maintains gravity, so long as you're 16 inches or above, and not to get in the weeds, you have a fastball that looks different than everybody else.
Okay.
So the metrics also will apply. That's why I say with the Red Sox and what Andrew Bailey and I'm sure Breslow's involved, is that they're looking at their pitchers going, yeah, let's get to our sliders. Let's get to our changeups. Sprinkle in your fastballs.
That was the point that I wanted to make, that it's a personnel and an opponent calculation that they're making. That's exactly what you were saying, which is certainly Andrew Bailey also took a similar approach when he was with the Giants. But Craig Breslow, who was with the Cubs before, didn't. They threw tons of fastballs. There are two factors. One, league-wide fastballs are dropping across the league. You had that point. You asked why. Well, league-wide batting average last year was 248 on all pitches, 268 on fastballs. That's why they're throwing fewer fastballs, because it's easier to hit the fastball. You have your hand up, but I would like to make one more point.
Go.
He sees two.
You brought up Brian Bello.
No, go ahead.
You brought up Brian Bello, who does throw very hard. But last year, his fastball, which he threw 20% of the time, was his worst pitch. Opponents slugging 646. If you look at the last two seasons, 2023, 2022, according to StatCast, they have it as his worst pitch by run value, worth -9 runs in 2022, -8 in 2023.
Put your hand down.
He does throw hard, but they came in and they said, you know what, scrap it entirely. Didn't throw a single one in his
Hannah, I will tell you this right now, and we're getting in the weeds. Fastball command. There's one thing with just going, okay, Powder River right down the middle, and they're teaching guys that. Oh, you got a plus fastball. Throw it down the middle because it's not getting down the middle. It's dumb. We're taught, and I was not great control. I led the American League walks. I led the National League walks. Guess what? I had to catch and go like this, and I tried to throw it away, and I tried to throw it in. You have pitchers now. The mentality is, well, you throw hard, plus velocity. Down the middle, it'll move. Guys like it down the middle. So if it doesn't get to where you want it, outside, inside, up, down, that's very hittable. Command. You lose command based on bully fastballs. Guys that throw really hard, it's a blessing and a curse.
It's funny because we walked out here and you're talking about like the rise of baseball ops and how large it gets. All you want to do is be in baseball ops. Like, can you imagine? It's all you just to talk about the shape of a pitch. You could do it all day long.
Is what you're
so
saying.
this is all you. That's all you really want to talk about. And I love this. If you let me do a segment, you just did. You just did. All right. Other news, serious news right now. Larry Lucchino, you probably heard this earlier in the day. Former club executive has passed away at the age of 78. Lucchino worked for a number of clubs, the Orioles, the Padres, instrumental in getting Camden Yards and Petco Park built, and was most notably the president of the Red Sox during their rise to the top, leading the Sox from 2002 to 2015. This from Peter Gammons. Larry Lucchino's passing is heartbreaking for so many. He changed sports with Janet Marie Smith Camden Yards, again, the architect of Camden Yards. He saved Fenway and the Fens and brought Theo Epstein with him. Look what he's done for Worcester. Brilliant, emotional. Again, Larry Lucchino, most recently the president and owner of the Worcester Red Sox. He's in the Red Sox Hall of Fame as that club won 3 World Series titles on his watch. No cause of death has yet been given. He had been battling kidney cancer in recent years. Larry Lucchino was 78 years old. By the way, we had you on top 10, though. We're going to talk about that.
Oh, yeah, we'll get to that.
But, there's a new running path at first base. We haven't talked a lot about this. Kind of eliminates that 1880s lane where by the book you actually had to, like if you hit the ball, then you had to like run to the right if you wanted to be legal and be in that little lane going up the first base line. So this is good, right, that they've widened it. Now you can run straight to first?
It's great that they've widened it. Why do we need it at all? I've been watching your show, BK, and you guys talked about the Tyler Wade, Tyler Lamont, or Taylor.
Tyler Wade. Lamont Wade was tagging.
Lamont Wade was tagging him.
Yeah.
And he, this was a great dodge of a tag, and he was called out of the base paths. And I saw you guys talk about this.
Yeah, I don't get it.
You were frustrated with it, and I was watching it, and I thought, why do we need the base path rule at all? You can't be running out of the outfield. I get that. You could hold up the whole game. We'd undo all the good work of the pitch clock if you could just hang out hiding in right field. But you can run wherever you want. The shortest distance is still going to be a straight line, so you're incentivized to get to the bag quickly. But why can't you dodge that?
Well,
why can't you dodge?
What that is for the little dribbler up front. The catcher gets the ball, and you could then, passive-aggressive, run on the grass, and, I didn't know you were going to hit me in the back with the ball. You have to that's what this is eliminating, that you have to go to the right. But had you going so far ridiculously to the right, it made no sense.
No, I think they should you should be
let the guy run on the grass.
Run in the grass.
And block your throw.
Run in the path of the throw. Every time we get into a rundown now, I think, this is fun and interesting, but it's essentially dead time just leading to an out. Rundowns would be better if you thought, you know what, he might evade this tag. He might swing down by the pitcher's mound and go all the way back.
By the way, you seem to like 1880s baseball.
Yeah,
because back then, all bets were off. You could run anywhere you want, and also like early times, if you hit the guy with the baseball, he was out. That's another thing.
Okay, we add that one back to account for the running in the path.
Running in the path, and if you drill the guy in the back.
Exactly, yeah. But
deal. I'm good on that. I have no argument with that. All right, you and I both did top 10 right now. Center fielders. That was your exclusive province this time. You had Mike Trout where?
I had him fifth.
I had him fourth. Now again, this was a big shift for all of us.
Yes.
Trout's been number 1 for so long, and the Shredders had him number 1 10 of 11 years. The 1 year was an Andrew McCutchen year, which McCutchen legitimately won. McCutchen at his peak actually beat Trout 1 year. Other than that, Trout. Did we though massively disrespect Trout? He had 2 home runs last night.
I'm
He's
worried.
off to a great start. Did we disrespect Mike Trout?
When I put together my list, I thought I could put Buxton over him even.
No.
And now this is my mea culpa. I want to get in early on this because this was in the offseason. And Mike Trout already 3 home runs. He had 2 last night, one of which went 473 feet. And I was watching that and I thought, you know what? We might have forgotten how good Mike Trout is. I think we said this on the show.
We didn't forget, but he's playing, half seasons all the time. He's playing 119 games at best, and it's 82 games, and he's just missing too much time. If we know he's going to play a full season, it's completely different.
Do you think if he plays a full season, if I had guaranteed
if he plays a full season, he's won.
That's what I was going to ask. If I could guarantee Mike Trout plays 150 games.
150. One. You know what they did? I was in Angels camp this year, and what Ron Washington was having him do was play games. Like he's like, no, you're going to play, and he was playing routinely into the 7th inning. He was getting on the bus playing road games. They wanted him in game shape. And it might work. Just crazy enough old school. Al would love this. Crazy enough old school to work. And look, we had to drop him. At a certain point, you have to drop him. Again, I had Michael Harris as my wild card. Otherwise, I really couldn't think that Harris would be better than Mike Trout. But Julio Rodriguez, is up there at, at number 2. There's players who are outperforming him.
There are players that are outperforming him on the whole in the season, but you're right. I just thought early in the season we should get it on record. Mike Trout's still good.
Yeah. Who do we have number 1? I'm already blanking out. Who is number 1?
Aaron Judge.
Aaron Judge. Okay.
Oh, well, maybe you'd have him 2 then.
Yeah. No,
would you do Trout or Judge 1 if you knew that Trout was going to play the whole season?
Wow, that's tough. Judge. I go Judge. Judge is way ahead of everybody.
Yeah.
But that's close. All right, it's another topic. That's where would you go?
If I knew that Trout was going to play the whole season and I didn't have the same guarantee for Judge, because I worry about Judge's health as well.
Oh, yeah.
So
okay.
I think if I had the guarantee for both, they're both going to play 150, maybe Judge. But if I knew Mike Trout's going to play the whole season and I'm still worried about Judge's health,
you go Trout.
I go Trout.
All right, I'd go Judge, unless he's hurt, obviously. All right, here's a move I didn't get in the offseason. I just want to beat him up because he blew a save last night. But I never got Craig Kimbrell to the Orioles, right? It's not their thing. They have a low payroll. They have young players. They bring him in. It's a one-year deal, $13 million. He was their highest salaried guy before the Corbin Burns trade. I didn't get it. Also, he's been walking the tightrope for a long time now, blew some saves that knocked the Phillies out against the Diamondbacks. So I'm sure the Orioles see something like, no, this guy can be dominant, but it puzzled me.
Well, I think maybe what they see is they needed bullpen help. This gets back to something that you were talking about.
Yeah, $13 million for that one guy?
Right, opportunity cost. I was thinking about this. I like it if you don't know that the Orioles don't spend. They're like, yeah, you needed bullpen help. Felix Bautista's going to be out for the year. They had a great bullpen last year. They don't want to make a strength into a weakness. But you're right. It's an unusual move for them in particular, because it's kind of like, oh, you had $13 million to spend on a pitcher. Maybe you should have gone out and gotten another starter. And then they did get Burns, so you're right. It felt a little less.
They had a little wiggle room.
Confusing.
But last year, their big signing was Adam Frazier for $8 million. So for the Orioles to say, hey, by the way, the ownership has said you have $15 million to spend. I think they get 4 guys, not one Craig Kimbrell. Doesn't make sense to me.
And I agree. It felt a little bit like, I said this to you earlier, that watching the postseason last year, the Rangers ended up winning. It worked for them. But every time they brought in Aroldis Chapman, it felt like they were doing it under duress, that they were concerned.
Yeah.
And it was like, why do you have this guy in your bullpen who you don't trust to come in these important games? And I do worry that that's how they'll end up feeling. These Orioles, they're great. They're probably going to go back to the postseason. Do we end up back in a situation where they have this guy
where your
in the
whole
bullpen?
Season is relying on that?
Yeah, and you're like, do we want to bring him in?
It's almost where we're thinking real world and they're thinking sabermetric. Like they're saying, no, look at the numbers. Look at the swing and miss rate. This guy's elite. And we're like, yeah, but when you're watching him in games, he's on this. It's like failure is so close.
Right. When the game is on the line, when your season is on the line, are you really going to bring in Craig Kimbrell? I don't know.
Excellent. All right, we'll get back. I like the top 10 revisits already. We're here on MLB Now, and just to make you aware, the Invited Celebrity Classic, April 19th to the 21st. You've got the big names in golf being out there, as well as the big names that we know. John Smoltz is out there. Of course, Kevin Millar is going to be out there in Irving, Texas. Our own Albert Pujols as well, and Phil Nevin will be there as well. Most recently, the Angels manager. He was a coach for the Yankees and Giants, former All-Star, College Player of the Year back in the day for legendary Cal State Fullerton, and he joins us right now. Phil, it's Brian Kenny. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, Brian. Good to see you.
Good to see you, too. Now, your son Tyler just got brought up by the A's, right? Just brought in, played last night. What is it like to watch your kid play Major League Baseball?
Well, I have done nothing but I've only been able to watch him on TV. The only time I've seen him live in a game is when I managed against him, which was a little more difficult than I thought. It'll be nice this year to be able to see both he and his little brother play live, if you will. My youngest son, Kyle, is with the Dodger organization, and he'll be in High A starting Friday in Great Lakes Loons, I believe they're called.
Okay. I don't know. Did you think that was happening? Again, do you have kids, or you're playing with them all the time thinking, yeah, this is the track, or did that surprise you?
I think we look at our kids a little differently than we do other players. I mean, it's obviously been part of my job for a long time, but, when they get recruited to college, and Tyler was offered a scholarship his sophomore year, and the first thing I said was, wow, you think he's really that good? I didn't get it.
Right. Maybe you've seen too much,
Yeah, you're probably a little more, you're critical, if you will, of your kids, but it's, both of them have created their own paths. Tyler signed out of high school. Kyle Went to Baylor University for 3 years and has got off to a good start with the Dodger organization. In fact, this weekend, it just so happens with Tyler getting claimed by Oakland from Baltimore, they're going to be in Detroit. They play a 1 o'clock game on Friday. And then that night at 6:30, Kyle's home opener up in Midland, Michigan, about an hour and 45 minutes north. So we're gonna be pretty cold, but we're gonna get to see both boys this weekend, so it'll be fun.
Excellent. Phil, looking back now that you try to process it, how was your Angels experience last year? You know, with Trout hurt, Ohtani that whole year, Anthony Rendon hurt a lot. Processing it, looking back, how do you view it now?
I think everything we do in this game and our jobs and our lives, everything's a learning experience. I can't say you sit here and say, oh, I loved every minute of it. But I did. The relationships, I had a great coaching staff. I missed being around those guys. I went out to Arizona this spring and we got the whole gang together for a little dinner. It was nice. I miss it. I certainly do. But take a year here, watch the boys, and do some things in the summer that I haven't been able to do. It's my first year in 32 years. I haven't been involved in baseball at this time of year. So a little bit of a transition. Thought I would just be playing golf and hanging out, but I can't lie. The last 4 or 5 days, I've sat in front of 3 TVs up in my room upstairs and watched a heck of a lot of baseball, and it's a lot easier from the couch, I can tell you that.
Right. What was your, again, having managed him for 2 years, what was your reaction to the Ohtani news that broke in Korea?
Just mostly just sadness, really. I know how close he and Ippei were, and I really don't know any details of anything, to be honest with you. They're 2 people I care a great deal about. Certainly have watched all the Shohei's at bats with the Dodgers. I got up at 3 o'clock in the morning when they were in Korea. Got to see him this spring when I was visiting my son in Arizona at Dodger camp. So really looking forward to watching him grow and be a part of that Dodger organization with Doc, a good friend of mine. So like I said, it's more sadness than anything because I know how close the 2 were. But I don't know any details on it, and I really don't care to. I just know that I love watching Shohei play. I love managing him for 2 years. Just a special person and player.
Right. We were just talking about Mike Trout too, Phil. And what was it like managing Mike Trout? I know he's hurt a lot for you, but what was it like managing him?
Well, I heard you guys talking a little bit before and the comparisons and everything like that. People forget Mike played 112 games 2 years ago and hit 40 home runs. And when Mike is healthy, when Mike is right, really, he's still, to me, one of the tops in the game. There's no doubt about it. The 2 balls he hit last night are vintage Mike. I know he's motivated to have a great season. He hears the noise, and you guys ranking him low in the list now. It's just added for him, and just a freak injury last year with the hamate bone that cost him the second half of the season. But for me, Mike and healthy and plays a full season, no doubt he's still in that MVP conversation.
Yeah, Phil, I wanted to ask you, I'm interested. Again, you were a coach for the Yankees when they were routinely making players better, right? Being a player from the 90s, what's your view of baseball ops, the new age of information, maximizing performance? What's your view on how it's done these days?
Well, I certainly wish I had those resources when I played. I think anybody that's around the game now in that capacity thinks the same way. My time with New York was certainly eye-opening to a lot of things. The 4 years I was there, I think I evolved quite a bit in that role, learning under Aaron and Cash and the analytical staff there. And just the guys there were the way things work. I learned a heck of a lot from it. It made me better when I did get the job with Anaheim and understand how the inner workings of those things go. Like I said, I wish I had those resources when I was playing, but it's all about us evolving as coaches for the players, because the game's always ever changing, as you know, Brian. It really is. And I think the good ones in those jobs are the ones that evolve with the game that help the players the most.
All right, Phil, we appreciate your time. What should we know about the golf tournament? I take it you're a good golfer. Hard to imagine you're not good, right?
I have a lot more time to play right now, that's for sure. But it's just something I've always loved doing. You mentioned some of the guys, Smoltzy and Millar, and those dudes that I'll see out there, John Lester, Albert. You got to see him last spring, but it's a great time. It's a great fan experience for the people that in Dallas that are able to get to it. We get a chance to play with the senior tour players and really put us back in our place. For those of us that think that this is something we can do when we get older, like we are now. Just spend a couple holes out there with those guys, and you got no chance around them. So it's a lot of fun.
Good. April 19th, it starts again right outside of Dallas. Again, you can see it on the Golf Channel as well, and that's Phil Nevin. Phil, great talking with you. Hope to do it again. Thank you so much, and good luck watching your boys and enjoying that. Back here on MLB Now, back with Hannah Kaiser and Al Leiter, and StatCast is powered by Google Cloud. Just wanted to give you an indication. Here's xWOBA, the expected weighted on base. Al loves xWOBA. But this brings in the quality of contact. So sometimes, you get hit lucky or hit unlucky. And this is just to point out that two of the top five, this is kind of obvious too, Yordan Alvarez, Shohei Ohtani, they are primarily DHs. And one's a DH pitcher, the other DH left fielder, but using the DH spot. And it brings us to Hannah's column, excellent column in The Ringer. Now you can find this DHs universal, but good DHs are rare. You had some revealing stats in there too, that DH power, like this has always kind of been the case, but even recently with both leagues having it, well, tell us what you found with as far as how much offense are we getting out of this hitting-only position?
Less offense than you would think, and less offense than they've gotten out of the DH position before. And of course, a little bit of that is, well, there's twice as many spots, so the talent is diluted. But if you look at it, the league-wide sort of rolling average for DH OPS has never been lower, the 5-year rolling average. And beyond that, the DHs are not hitting that well compared to other positions. So the first year that we had the universal DH in 2022, first baseman, third baseman, right fielders, and left fielders all had better WRC pluses than the class of DHs. And last year, first baseman had better WRC plus.
Now, last year, I would say, I just want to point out, DHs are out hitting left field and right field, which is good, and just under first base. So it's not bad now.
Not bad. Some teams, though, are getting below league average. They're getting below 100.
That's stunning.
Which is why. At that point, why are you wasting that at bat? You don't, and why teams are wasting that at bat is because they like to use the DH in this timeshare way. They're like, it's a half day off. They say, want to get a guy off his feet. Mm-hmm. So they cycle guys into the spot who are just not that productive when they hit there, because research from Russell Carlton at Baseball Prospectus has shown that guys don't necessarily hit as well as they do normally if they're not used to DHing. So if you get more than 75% of your at-bats out of the DH spot, you're good at it. You're hitting. If you're a good hitter, you're good out of the DH. That's the Yordan Alvarez, basically, which is he's good when he's playing left field and he's good when he's DHing. But if you get less than 75% of your at-bats at DH, you get a DH penalty. You are less.
It's like a pinch hitter.
Yes, exactly.
You take a hit.
You're less good at hitting when you're DHing than you would be when you're playing the field. In which case, what's even the point? Then you're wasting that lineup spot on someone. Right. You might as well just have some other good hitter in there and give the guy a full day off.
I want to ask you then just a question, right? To cut to it. If you're running a club, say you're the team president, do you want to go out and buy a hitter who's a DH only, or do you like mixing and matching where, hey, my first baseman gets a DH, my left fielder can play a little DH, or do you go out and get J.D. Martinez or someone like that?
Unless it's just a unicorn, I would go for the unicorn, which I don't think really exists anymore. I know Ohtani's a different player.
Yeah, but like J.D., you get Justin Turner. You can say, no, I'm going to buy a DH. He's going to eat 450 plate appearances.
What's my payroll? What can I?
Medium, 150 million.
Okay, no. Here
you
lies.
Wouldn't.
No, I would get.
Very raise of you.
No, because I value starting pitching. Here is the separator. So when I played it,
what does that mean?
Well, so instead of putting my investment into a designated hitter once upon a time, when the American League had it and National League didn't, if you looked at it, the National League resource, if we were GMs on National League, was like, we want a better 4 or 5 pitcher.
Right.
The American League looks at it and goes, boy, we want the big bat. you know,
Right.
we want the Ortiz or
So
back.
you just don't, you wouldn't invest you wouldn't want your resources allocated there.
I don't believe I would, because I would put it in a starting pitcher. But I had a list of Hall of Fame guys. I played with Molitor and Edgar Martinez and back in the day, and Harold Baines and George Bell and Jack Clark and Don Baylor and Frank Thomas, Hall of Famers, Jim Rice. But it was a
rare.
landing spot.
You're listing, Big Papi, and everyone lists the guys who can do it. It's rare that guys can do it.
Well, it's rare.
You went over 50 years of baseball.
No, I did not. I did the 90s. I went the top DHs in the 90s. It started with Edgar Martinez, Paul Molitor, and there's about 7 Hall of Famers.
Molitor, Bell are in 80s, right?
Well, they played in the 80s, but I did the top. Listen, I will.
Well, okay, I want to respond to your point about how you would construct a team, because I did all this research and I was like, and I talked to players who talk about how difficult it is. Oh, this is why we struggled. And Andrew McCutchen was very interesting about the transition he made. But that's not to say, like, I think you're all doing it wrong, you should be spending it, because it's talked to GMs as well, and they have good reasons. It's the sort of, I call this the chicken and the egg problem of the DH. Lots of guys made the first point that you did, which is if there was a unicorn. So that's what all the GMs and the managers I spoke to would say. Would I sign a DH? Yeah, if he was really, really good.
Yes,
if he was Big Papi. Yeah, right. But the problem is we're not producing a lot of Big Papis because we're not giving guys. We're not incentivizing guys to DH because teams want to carry as many pitchers as they can, and they want the positional flexibility, and because their players don't want to DH because they know they're not going to get paid to DH if they don't also play a position.
Right.
So there's all these factors.
Oh, I'm sending that guy down to the minors.
If he doesn't want to DH?
You don't tell me what.
So you can get much more in the column in the Ringer. It's voluminous.
It's very long.
Bryce Harper, Andrew McCutchen. It's good. We have to save time. Why? Al, I think you're going to be pleased with what we have. Of course, people love no-hitters. Only when it's by a single pitcher. All right, that's
Mike.
You're right, yeah. Although I see combined no-hitters like we'll be doing on MLB tonight, and it's like, let me see, I'm from Cleveland. Team hasn't thrown a no-hitter in my life. Really?
Wow.
My combined no-hitter is redundant. All right, given the
Len Barker, the last one.
Combined perfect games become a thing. All right, no, maybe. Yeah, still waiver wire wizard says his pitching philosophy is refreshing to see a throwback deep pitch. True. Randomness, though the randomness never went 5, 6, 8. Yeah, no, that's kind of the magic of it. All right, let's get to baseball plays, our baseball awareness plays. Thanks for your submissions, getting them in on the program in real time. Let's start with, I said, we always look at players, they're loafing, they loaf out of the box. More guys dig it than you think. Jose Siri, that's just getting in and getting a second base and getting hustle double.
Yeah, right out of the box. You're exactly right, BK. He was thinking double right away.
Also, now, these are all in plays that you would think, all right, maybe yes, maybe no. Watch, we've got a whole bunch of them. Royals and Orioles. This is the 5th. Michael Garcia of the Royals. Watch it now. You would think, can he get this on Cedric Mullins? Yes, he can. However, it's 50-50 at best.
Aggressive base running. I want someone to rerun the numbers. Wasn't there some point early in the U era of sabermetrics we looked at, was that extra base worth it? Should you really? Feels like maybe that's changed.
Maybe. Stolen bases, certainly. But here's Francisco Alvarez. Look at him working. This is how you win fans. He's busting it. Catcher. And he's in. Beautiful.
Good slide, too. I thought he was out. When they cut to that shot, I was like, oh, there's no way. And then great slide.
Here's the awareness. I don't know if we have the angle of it where it shows you how he really cuts into the inside. But very nicely done. You know what I'm saying, Al?
Yeah.
Fans see that, and they dig that. And here, Cabrian Hayes. It's a little grounder up the middle, but he watched the infielder split, and he notices, hey, I got a little bit of a window here. And in he goes. That was C.J. Abrams.
2 outs. They're up by run, now by 2.
And it was really where the shortstop, second base, Al.
Well, the right center, if we had the high home, the center fielder was really to right center, so took advantage of it. Pick up your first base coach, Stewart. All this is part of scouting.
Well done. And then you have unbaseball-y plays here. Jonathan India. Tagged, he's ruled safe. They looked at it again. Brandon Marsh threw him out. Al, what's he doing?
Yeah, what is the on deck? Is that, who's that? Encarnacion?
That's Encarnacion.
You can help your runner. And slide. When in doubt, you tell a little leaguer, slide.
Yeah, but like how much, I know, I keep hearing Encarnacion Strand. He should have been there and making him go down. Don't you know? Don't you have talk about awareness. You basically know you have your inner clock. Marsh has got it. I'm digging. I've got to slide.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I mean, again, slide. If you're not sure, slide. Yeah. This is how you get hurt.
There you go. Kids are digging. Yeah, run it. You even mentioned your son's obviously in the Texas Rangers system, but you watch a lot of youth baseball.
Yeah.
The kids do work extremely hard.
Yes.
These days on this.
Yes.
All right. We have Think Baseball now. Here's a question for you. Ronel Blanco threw a no-hitter in his 8th career start. Whose first no-hitter came in the fewest career starts? It's not Blanco.
Oh,
It's not Blanco.
I think I know this
Fewest
one.
career starts for a no-hitter. Think baseball, the answer next.
There is a speed bump on the front. This is a child-protected area. Slow down less than 30 kilometers. There is a speed bump on the front. There is a speed bump on the front.